A few nights ago, we were treated to a marquee matchup of two of the best perimeter scorers in the NBA. And they certainly didn't disappoint, with KD putting all his chips on the table, but Jayson Tatum seeing his 37 and raising him 17 more. And this big win continues a streak the Celtics have been on for a while. So it's time to break this all down and figure out whether the Celtics are legitimate title contenders. Over their last 27 games, the Celtics are the second hottest team in the NBA, and considering they were 20th in win percentage before that, it's a remarkable turnaround from a club that had Marcus Smart calling out their two stars.
And every team is programmed and studied to stop Jayson and Jalen. And I think everybody's scouting reporters make those guys try to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball, and that's something that they're going to learn. They're still learning. We're proud of the progress they're making, but they're going to have to make another step and find ways to not only create for themselves, but create for others on this team, to open up the court for them later down in the game where they don't have to always take those tough shots.
But let's get to the duel between Durant and Tatum. And I love to see the two main scorers have to defend each other as well. This doesn't happen enough throughout the NBA, if you ask me. And here we have Durant splitting his feet on the catch and scurrying by Tatum into the middle of the floor, where two more defenders can't do anything to stop him for the and one. I love how Tatum attacks the dribble out top. You can't be a sitting duck on defense when guarding KD. But after facing up for an ISO, watch how planting his left foot wide and throwing the ball out away from his body gets Tatum jumping that way. What would normally be an easy middle drive is thwarted by Robert Williams shadowing at the nail. Brown's cut occupies Williams for a second, opening up the narrowest of cracks to lift from the dotted line, hover, float, and shoot a twisting inside-hand layup on the way down. Wow. In a tight game in the fourth, Tatum doesn't have enough urgency chasing Durant around the pin down at the three-point line. As a result, he's trailing the play and runs right into KD for a foolish three-point shooting foul. Almost in crunch time, KD uses that same left-to-right crossover to reject the ball screen and beat Tatum by a step. Great recovery, even greater shot fake, and KD is trying to keep this game close. Early in the first, I thought it was interesting that Tatum wanted to force a switch from Brown to Durant onto him, and he uses his own through the legs to get KD moving away into the right before doing a split step back, and Durant doesn't let him land for his own foolish foul. Here's where it got vicious. You might want to sit down for this. Williams sets the flare screen for Tatum, forcing the switch of KD onto him. Watch how he lifts both feet in the air before the catch, then lands into a jab step to the right. Durant has to honor that, leaving him almost stumbling to recover as Tatum crosses over into an open step-back three. Now, that left foot hits first, and by rule, it's his pivot, and he slides it a good 12 inches before releasing the ball into a dribble. So this should have been a travel, but hey, he hits the shot, so... We didn't get any more shots with KD guarding Tatum, but it didn't stop him from bombing away from behind the arc to the tune of 8 for 15 from back there. On a made bucket, there's no excuse to be caught in a mismatch defensively, but it happens here when Kyrie ends up on Horford, who promptly goes down low to go to work. Great recognition by KD to scram switch him out of there. Great read by Smart to hit Tatum wide open to take advantage. Credit to Kyrie for hustling over there in time to dissuade the open shot, but he doesn't get back into the play, leaving Tatum to lick his thumb, check the wind, and knock down an open three. He was really cooking from behind the arc in the third as he realizes he's got a huge height advantage on Kyrie. Everyone spreads to give him room, and he just shoots this over him. Tatum has mastered the ability to shoot his balls into the basket, and he knows as well as anybody that if you don't take care of those balls, you won't score, in basketball or in life. That's why you must get Manscaped's Performance Package. It's vital to keep things tidy on your face and in your more sensitive areas, and their Lawnmower 4.0 can take care of both. It's cordless and waterproof, so use it in the shower and you won't piss off your wife. But Manscaped's Performance Package has tons more. Their Weed Whacker defends you all up in your face, sending those annoying nose and ear hairs back into the stands. And the Crop Reviver has cool aloe vera to keep your balls dishing and swishing. Don't be like Marcus Smart, who can't stop fumbling his balls. Instead, use my code BBALL to save 20% off your order. But I'll also call Manscaped and tell them to give you 2 free gifts for a limited time: the Shed Travel Bag and Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. I wear these all the time, and I wouldn't trust anyone else next to my performance package. So click on the link below, use my code BBALL, and you'll see why Tatum doesn't just pick on the little guys as he takes on 7-footer LaMarcus Aldridge when KD has to call a switch from the double ball screen. And Tatum hits him with a double cross, good recovery, but no matter, he's in big head mode. And early in the fourth, with another 7-footer on him, he does another split step back. Almost no space to get it off, yet still drops this in as perfectly as possible. Down the stretch, in the last 3 minutes, Tatum outscored Durant 7-2, and this one was a doozy. Tatum doubles Durant to get it out of his hands, making a big mistake to not throw it to the open Kyrie, but instead force it inside the Claxton. Great hands by Brown, and while KD almost makes up for it by stealing it back, Brown corrals it, the ball finds who else, and despite the double team, he somehow finds a way to cross over here, then launch into the air into Claxton, and still finish soft off the glass for a crucial 3-point lead. Let's watch this again and just admire the play. And with KD having to guard Horford when the Nets go small, Tatum forces the switch of his much smaller Curry onto him, opens up with a right foot pivot, then goes to his Kobe game with a quick pull-up from 13 feet to give them another crucial 3-point lead. But Tatum isn't the only reason why the Celtics have been so damn good recently. I pulled apart some stats to figure out what fundamental changes Ime Udoka made with his lineups, and there were some very interesting things. Of course, there were some trades that got rid of certain players like Dennis Schroeder and Josh Richardson, with Schroeder being part of their second most played lineup through their first 36 games, whose net rating was completely suboptimal. By taking their starters and replacing Brown with Schroeder, this 5-man unit became inept on both ends of the floor based on offensive and defensive ratings, and it's possible Schroeder wasn't fun to play alongside. It's no secret that from my coach's perspective, Smart drives me a little crazy with poor shot selection, troubling turnovers, and even off-ball defensive issues. A major change with how he's been playing is a significant increase in catch-and-shoot 3-point frequency. For the first 39 games of the season, 38.4% of his shots were catch-and-shoot threes, hitting only 31.4% of them. Over his last 20 games, his frequency has shot up to 49.2%, and his percentage is an elite 40.2%. While he still handles the ball plenty, his threes are now generated when he's off the ball and someone else initiating the action. When Robert Williams rolls, Smart's man has to be in position to bump him, and that gives Smart an opening on a nice skip pass from Tatum to hop into the shot and knock it down. Here's another example of him playing the 2-guard while Derek White runs the pick and roll out top, catching Smart's man trying to help down to Williams and giving up the lift to the 3-point break. One thing that still frustrates me is his turnovers, and while his 3-point shooting has helped offset the miscues, we have seen a jump in turnovers per 100 possessions, which also coincides with a bump in usage percentage. Where Smart gets into trouble is when he over-dribbles as if he's the #1 option on offense, trying to do way too much to create when it's just not in his skill set. It's not just losing the dribble going into the teeth of the defense and trying to weave through multiple defenders, it's also off-target passes when he's going too fast and trying to gather the dribble quickly and find a window to pass through that simply isn't open. If he can just cut these out, I'd feel even better about the Celtics' playoff fortunes. While Tatum was behind Brown earlier in the season in usage percentage amongst the starters, during this hot streak, Tatum is now ahead slightly, but it also gave way to a 4-point rise for Smart, while Horford has taken a back seat with this unit. The starters went from playing 11.4 minutes a game and having a net rating of plus 14.4 to 13.2 minutes a game and a plus 29.8 net rating. While their individual minutes went down, Udoka started utilizing what works a lot more and getting rid of lineups that weren't. Grant Williams has gotten a bump in minutes, and now their second most played lineup went from being a huge drag in net rating to a huge boost when Horford goes to the bench for rest. Grant Williams is very much a limited role player, but there are moments where he could be the 4th or 5th option in the play, have the ball swing around to him, and create a little something off the dribble to the basket. While the number of passes didn't go up during this stretch of prosperity, assists certainly have by 4 a game, with Smart increasing his by almost 2 dimes per 100 possessions, another way to mitigate the increase in turnovers. It's nice when you have a guy like Tatum to pass to, and it feels like their chemistry has increased, but Robert Williams has become a favorite target of his. So rather than try to force a shot in the lane into a terrible miss, Smart is now finding all manner of lobs to throw up to the big man, who's been feasting on these a lot more as the defense doesn't know which way to go. Stop the ball, stop the lob, or get stuck in between. But a huge increase in assists is from Jalen Brown, a player who traditionally had the role of, I'm going strong to the basket and shooting this ball only. Now, he's figured out how to avoid forcing shots in the lane, the kind of thing that would happen often once he got near the basket, and is actually looking for his big men to set them up for nice passes and easy shots. This might be the biggest revelation of them all, and no doubt a direct result of Marcus Smart speaking up early in the season. Defensively, they were really good to start the season, ranking 7th for the first 36 games, but have turned that intensity up even further and now rank 1st over the past 28 games, and by a huge margin. The addition of Derek White has added another guy who can get around screens very well, and someone who can turn and run with great quickness to recover on closeouts. When you combine him with their other defensive bulldogs like Smart, Horford, Brown, the Williams twins, and even Tatum, who's giving out more energy on this end than ever before, Udoka has a defensive-minded club from top to bottom that can not only make plays with supreme athletic talent, but can also make up for any mistakes or disadvantages with grit and determination. Watch how the switchiness can blow up the whole offensive attack. Smart is on Plumlee, but Robert Williams quickly scrams him out of there. Meanwhile, they switch the handoff to negate that action, and now Williams is mobile enough to blast the ball handler and force him into an unmakeable shot. That scram switch isn't easy for teams, yet the Celtics do it with ease. After Williams switches onto the ball, Horford scrams White out of there before having to switch onto the ball handler, who thinks he's got an opening only to be contested tightly by Horford into a miss. And more perfect switching. Watch Brown battle down low after he switches to the big. Now you've got a pin down that gets switched perfectly. White and Smart then switch without giving up the cut. And the switch on the last pick and roll out top doesn't give much space for the offense, and there's White turning and running into a blocked shot of a floater. It's not surprising that a rookie coach took some time to sort out lineups and playing time, and now that they've figured out the puzzle pieces and unlocked the right players, the Celtics are the kind of team that can be a real problem for any other team in the playoffs. It's rare to have two elite scoring wings at Tatum and Brown's size, and most teams are going to struggle to match up with them. On the flip side, they've got a ton of defensive versatility to throw at their opponents. So the winner of their series will come down to whether the coaching staff can prepare their experienced players for all the little details and adjustments. Perhaps we'll finally see this team reach the true potential they had shown flashes of 3 years ago, which means, at minimum, a spot in the Eastern Conference Finals.